All right, welcome back everybody to another new episode of A Whole New World COVID edition. Where we put a spotlight on positive things happening in the community and developing that positive mindset. I am your host, Jacob New, and as always, we are here to to start off the show with a dad joke. As soon as I get over my speech impediments, apparently. So without any further ado, our dad joke is... So I was thinking the other day, claustrophobic people really must think better outside of the box. Ha ha! Because the box is too small. Oh, I know. It's a good one. We are very fortunate today to have with us Raymond Quick. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here, man. It's pleasure's all mine.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. And so, for our audience, can you let us know just a little bit about who you are? Who is Raymond Quick?
Well, so first of all, that's a great question. I'm still figuring that out myself. But to the core, man, I'm a dreamer. I'm somebody that just, I believe in the things that most people think are impossible. I'm always stretching it. I'm a father of 3 kids, so I believe dreaming big to inspire them and them seeing me accomplish my goals, letting them know what's possible for them. Ultimately, I just want to help people. I believe I was put on this earth to leave people in places better than I found them. So that's what I wake up every morning to do. And I'm a man that is literally locked in and laser focused on doing that.
And I love your mission, and I love how locked in you are to it. So what are some things that you're currently into right now?
Wow, man. So actually, I got a lot going on right now. I'm like in the learning mode, and I go into these modes very often in life. And I would suggest anybody listening to this, man, be a student. A student, that's the way to go. The people that are learning and getting the best information, they're gonna be ahead, light years ahead. And just if you just think about it in just layman's the basic way. If someone is learning advanced skills or new information every single day, every single week, every single month, and they compare their life to someone who's just, not taking on the information, just kind of living, as life comes, over 5-10 years, that all that education, all that stuff, it compounds. And, I'm nowhere near the person I was 5 years ago just by just becoming a student and learning and constantly learning. So the phase I'm in right now, man, I'm actually working on the biggest project of my life. Last year, I got an opportunity to partner with an incredible company with a major vision, and it took me to actually had to put some of my other projects down, some things that I had worked on for years. But the vision was literally it was amazing, and it was something I wanted to be a part of. So it's a technology company that is changing the way that people learn, changing the way that people live, helping them create unique experiences through travel and communication, but as well as mixing that with a strong, solid foundation with what to do with money, how to multiply and invest your money, how to make money work for you so that you can have true freedom in your life. And technology, artificial intelligence, that's the future. And if you're listening to this call and you are not using your smartphone or artificial intelligence or technology to create income for yourself, you are way behind. And, my job, I feel like I have an obligation. I've been making money online for the past almost 7 years. And I feel like I have an obligation to teach what I know, just because I don't want to see people get lost. And the truth of the matter is there will be some people, but that's one of my big projects, as well as my brand. This is my brand, Relentless. It's my psychology, my way of life. And it's pretty much just a never-ending journey of growth and development, and not letting obstacles, things like COVID-19 stop you. Seeing opportunity is really simple. Life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. You don't give up. You be strong and you persevere. And then lastly, what I'm most excited about is I'm working on a nonprofit right now. This will be my first one I've ever done. But obviously, over the last 7 years as a business owner, entrepreneur, investor, it's always been about making money. Now it's about what impact can I leave that's gonna live way beyond me. And for me, one of my huge passions, one of my, I feel like my major purposes in life is fatherhood. I became a father at 18 years old. And I made a lot of mistakes. People ask me, "Well, how have you gotten where you got?" And I failed through life so fast, and I probably experienced more in the last 5 years than some people probably experienced in their entire lifetime. Literally, in the last 5 or 6 years, I've been in the military, been married, been divorced, had 3 kids over the last 10 years. Traveled the entire country, had as many different jobs, different businesses. So I've experienced a lot. And it's all made me better. But ultimately, when I look at the thing that has been consistent and the thing that I want to be most known for is who I am to my kids, what I left inside of them, and then as fatherhood in general, I looked and I looked for a problem. I think every great leader, they look for a problem they can solve. And I know specifically in my community that children without fathers, they struggle a lot. They struggle at home. They struggle with confidence. They struggle with direction, not having that. And I was a person that was kind of like that, and I wanted to give back to that. I want to give back to that cause. So I'm creating this community called Father Figures for young men, fathers of all ages, to come together, rub shoulders, bring ideas, resources, tools, and a vision to really to lead fathers better than we found them, lead kids better than we found them. Ultimately, we can make it so that there's no kid starving in the United States or even just one city. That'd be great. But obviously, I'm not going to put a limit on what we can do.
Yeah, no, and that, man, so much that you said is just so impactful and powerful. I love the passion that you're exuding right now, and I apologize if you hear my dog. Somebody rang my doorbell right now.
It's all good.
So, but man, one of the things that you said that I really liked was you were talking about your leaving a legacy, and I think that's so important that we want to go and we want to be able to leave the world better than we found it. I grew up as a Boy Scout, and one of our rules is to leave every place that we were in better. So that means picking up trash it's not ours, and just taking care and taking care of places and just fixing it. So I definitely love that aspect and how I do agree with you. Reaching out, technology, and that's what's going to be coming up. Everybody, Ready Player One. I think of that. Like, we're all going to be using VR and at some point. And so, no, you don't have VR yet. You need to get it. That's so many different things. And as a teacher, how nice would it have been if I could have had like a classroom VR? And yeah. So, I love the vision that you're painting for everybody as well. And when it comes to being a father figure, you definitely, you're helping out. I hear a lot about mothers groups and all that, and I don't think there's a lot of father figure groups. And so I want to hear more, like what got you started on why father figures?
It's a great question, man. And so I mean, this would be. I'm trying to make the story as short as I possibly can, man. But my story is really crazy. It's a wild story. So, when I turned 18, I was becoming a father. I literally found out on April Fool's Day. My girlfriend.
What a day!
My girlfriend told me she was pregnant, and literally I was a senior in high school, a month from graduating, and I thought she was just joking, but she really wasn't kidding. And man, it seemed like everything got real, just like in a matter of moments. And I remember being scared, but also being confident that no matter what happened, I was going to be a man, do what I needed to do. But while that was going on, man, I actually met my biological father. I saw him, and when I saw him, I knew he was my father. But the wild part about it was that I was actually raised to believe that another man was my dad, and it kind of confused me. I got really confused, and I went through a lot. I went through like depression, confusion, and I was just really trying to figure out why this was happening to me at this time right now. Like, this is where I needed to just kind of be sure of like life, because now somebody else was going to be dependent on me. But it actually caused me to start looking inside of myself and figuring out what it was that I wanted to be. What did I want to be remembered as a father? And when I looked around and I looked for the problem that I felt like I wanted to solve, and it's very simple. I solve it by first being a father to my kids, and that means being able to respond when they need me, being able to listen to them and encourage them and talk to them, find out what drives them, what excites them, what is it that they want to do with their life, what are their passion, and giving them the confidence in themselves to believe that they can do it. And I know ultimately, like, a good father, no one knows. There's no blueprint on it really, and I don't feel like I've been the best father. I would honestly tell people I've been mediocre as a father at best, and I still work on it every day. But as far as why, it's for me, it's more like why not? Like why not create this? Because I know that the problems that, especially not to get about race on here, but the truth of the matter is, black men really fail their families. They fail their children really big, really heavy, and I'm not sure what the reason why is. I know it's a lot of things that I can't even speak on or I can't control that causes it. But until somebody stands up for it, and I feel like it's a big responsibility. I know it's going to come with a lot. Sometimes I think about how I don't want to necessarily be anybody's role model, but I do want to support a cause that I feel like can make a difference. So for me, I figure if we can start in the home, if we can get men to look at their kids and see like, okay, well, my life is bigger than me. It's not just about me. And it kind of raises the standard. And then once we raise that standard for men across the board, then, and I feel like we make being a dad not just a responsibility, but just it's cool. It's actually it's the best relationship I have. My kids are the most loyal people that I have in my life. They're the people that I don't have to doubt their love or question. They're spoiled and they have their ways, but the truth of the matter is they love me for who I am, and there's a missing out on that. So the goal is to have a lasting impact on fatherhood, because I know it's going to have a great effect on not just the kids but family in general.
I love it. And as a teacher, I really appreciate the fact that you're getting to know your kids and seeing what they like to do. I often hear a lot about parents that they kind of have their kids mapped out, their life mapped out, and for me, I don't know how you feel I think I know, but like to me, it's their choice, it's their life. I'm not here to. I'm not going to live through them. All right, and so another question that I had, that you became father pretty young, and my friend and I were just talking. So like I'm 30, and my wife and I were talking about having kids within the next year, and so I'm still like, ooh, I don't know if I'm ready yet. Is there ever a time you think, and I'm that is like the perfect time, the right time? Like, well, when do you know you're ready to be a father? I guess.
That's a great question, man. So I'm gonna answer this as best as I know. I know how. I'll tell you right now, man. Like, to be a parent, you need two things. First of all, like burning desire, like to love and protect and take care of your child. You said something very powerful, something that I think I didn't learn until I was actually 2 years ago. I'm watching, and I watch my kids, the movies that the kids that they would like, and sometimes they watch movies that I pick that are animated, right? I can't remember. I think the movie was called. It's on Netflix. I think it was called. I wish my son was here. He could be able to tell me, but it was a movie about a book that I read. I don't know. It's a book called The Prophet by Machiavelli. And in that book, it's a book. It reads kind of like Ecclesiastes in the Bible. It's an incredible read, and it's really just a fluid read. But I remember reading the lines and then seeing it in the movie, and it said that our kids don't belong to us. Like they're not ours. You know what I mean? And it just kind of like hit me hard. I'm like, whoa! But I thought about that, and I'm like, wow, like that's so true. Like they have their own lives that they have to lead. Like and as a parent, like it's our job to literally just guide them in this race to like leave them, give them the baton better than we got it. So I'll tell you this right now: you are a light years ahead of me when I had kids. So and I think what's most important, especially in my culture, in my gen, and when I speak, I don't want to make it come off as this is about race, but I just look at stats. I look at the reality of it is like for whatever reason. It's fatherhood has not really been a big commitment and priority to my ethnicity. So for me, it's will you be ready or will you ever be ready? Who knows? I can't really say that. But if you have a woman that is committed to building a family with you and you're committed, that's as ready as you'll ever be. And I think the beautiful thing about it is that you guys have, I don't know how long y'all been married. How long have y'all been married? I'm sure y'all have, say what?
Less than 6 months. So
less than 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? I'll tell you this. You guys will know, when the time is right. But I also tell you this. The pressure the added pressure is not necessarily necessary. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't have had my kids so young. I would have really tried to get to know the woman that I was building my future with, the woman that I had a vision and that she could see clearly, and then build a family. But the truth of the matter is, man, I think you're pretty ready, man. And the truth, you're gonna get ready. It's simple. When I was in the military, Coast Guard, we had a saying. It was semper paratus, and it meant always ready, meaning stay ready. And as long as you're willing at any time to respond to that child, whether she crying, whether he crying, or he need a diaper change, then you're ready. That's as ready as you're gonna be.
Yeah, no, I love it, and
it doesn't hurt to have some money in the bank too.
Yeah, no, yeah, we're currently we want to be in a better place financially, but I kind of think of it too. When I was looking at proposing to my wife, it was I was talking with my friend, and she, very wise, she was like, you know what, when's the right time? Because this happens, then you know what, then it's, I'll wait for this. Oh, I'll wait for this. And it's just kind of, there's never that perfect time. And it's you either love them enough to do it or you don't, And so I feel like there's a lot of things in that we kind of get hung up on finding this right time, but when it happens, it's a beautiful thing, And I like how you were talking about making sure, getting to know the woman that you're with, and because then when you're unified and you're working together towards something, it's completely different, And
to speak to that, man, if two people that have a common vision, they have a child, it'll bring them closer, right?
Yeah.
Two people that don't, it'll actually divide them, and that's what mostly happens. Like I said, that's the pattern that happens in my community, right? We like each other up until the point where the baby comes in. For some reason, the baby comes in there, all the separation happens, and I think it's like you said, you get a great point. Just having that woman, that person that y'all got a common vision. If y'all got the same vision, the same goals, y'all want to do the same things, it'll just bring y'all closer, man. So go ahead and shoot for it, man. If you want a boy, funny joke, you talking about dad jokes, man. They say if you want a boy, and I'm not trying to get ridiculous on the call, but you can look up. They say there's a certain way that you should perform your duties to get to a boy. So if you're trying to shoot for the boy, go look it up, man.
Okay. I will.
Too, man, so trust me, it worked for me.
I will definitely look that up, because we definitely want some boys. So, but so, man, it's clearly obvious how much of a passion you have for being a father, and I know you said that you didn't know your biological father until later on in your life. How much of a role has he played in your life since, and what role did your father that you grew up with play in how you view a father?
That's a great question, and oh man, first of all, I'm gonna speak on my biological father first. So he's been my greatest teacher by far.
Yeah.
We have no relationship really. I could call him right now. He probably won't answer, and he doesn't answer. It's okay. Truthfully, it is. I've come to grips with it. But he's been my best teacher. Literally, I learned what not to do by his example. I grew up in a lot of animosity. I had a lot of animosity towards him, and really just was so confused, really. But like I said, he's been my greatest teacher. He's taught me what I don't want my kids to feel, what I don't want them to ever experience. And I'm my kids' best friend. They talk to me every day, even when they can't see me, even when I'm away. We FaceTime. I play games with them on our tablets. We have full communication through text and group chat, so we're always connected. They're literally the people that I talk to the most. They're my little mastermind. We got little plans that we're going to do when we get older and things of that nature. But he's been my best teacher. Now, the man that was my dad, and God rest his soul, he passed away 3 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
This month, 3 years ago. And, he's been my greatest teacher too. And I think as a father, that is your role. Your role is to teach, and whether it's intentional or not, I learned a lot from him. What I've learned is that your father is supposed to be the teacher. He's supposed to be the number one teacher in our life. So the things that he taught me really was a lot through a lot of his pain, and he actually struggled with alcoholism. He had a huge problem with alcohol. Couldn't really keep a sustainable income. Really never had no stability, but and he went through a lot. He faced a lot of trauma young in his life, and it took me a while to understand it. Not to make excuses for him, but again, I learned from that. So he keeps me. I mean, that keeps me on my toes. It keeps me looking for opportunity. It keeps me working hard. Keeps me, constantly looking for the best way to provide and take care of, and to make plans for my family. And then, but the thing that he taught me the most was to believe in myself. And I still to this day can remember. I grew up. I'm to this day. I'll be 29 next Monday, and I'm 5'6", 125 pounds.
Happy birthday!
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And so I played sports a lot, and I was always the smallest person, but he just instilled this confidence in me to just go hard. And this is where relentless comes from. It applies to this too. Like I might be the smallest person on the field or on court, but you're gonna know I'm there. You're gonna feel me. You're gonna feel my presence. I'm gonna be in every pile on. I'm hitting with the biggest of them. I'm going up for rebounds. I'm defending. I'm playing hard because that's what I can bring. What I lack in size, I make up in heart. He always used to tell me to feed my faith, starve my doubts. And he used to tell me it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. And I just took those with me in every aspect of life, whether it was business, sports, any type of competition.
I love that. And that's such a powerful mindset to have too, because if we can face obstacles that seem like mountains, and you know what, it depends on how what your attitude is and how you attack it. Like you can't view the whole mountain. You got to just chip away at it, man. And so that's a phenomenal attitude, and I just want to commend you on being a great father, because I love when you talk about your kids, how you talk about how involved you are. And so that means, I can tell you, means the world to them, and that's what they'll look back on and they'll remember. So keep up all that good work, man. You're doing a great job from my perspective. Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously no such thing as like a perfect father. We're all going to make our mistakes, and navigating it, and because we're all our own individual people. But for new fathers, people who have been fathers for a while now, and people thinking about being a father, what would be one advice that you would give them?
Oh, man.
You
gotta be careful with this one.
Yeah.
Let me see. What advice would I give? And you know what? This advice is advice that I need to take right now. And that's why I'm sharing. And the dads that's listening, I really want you to put a different set of ears right now, because sometimes when you walk in a path that nobody's ever taken, everybody wants to give you advice, but nobody can wear your shoes. Nobody can tell you what to do. You have to trust your gut. You have to trust your instinct. You have to trust that thing that's nudging at you every day, right? So right now, I have the greatest opportunity in the world in my hands, and I believe that with the utmost faith, right? And it's not just about the income that I can create for my family, but it's really about the timing and the shift that the world is taking right now. So, I believe when I want to get to second base, or I want to get to home base, right? There's a couple routes I can take. I can hit a home run, right? And I can just go straight to home. And for me, that's the way I like to do it. I like to literally condense the time frame. I don't want to have to wait for everybody else to come to bat and hope they don't strike out, or So when it comes to you having a goal, like really, sometimes it requires it. Well, it always is going to require an upfront sacrifice, right? So I'm at this point right now where I've literally my daughter's 10, my oldest son is 7, and I have a 3-year-old, and they're at the ages where I don't feel like I have to explain myself to anybody but them. And I will. And sometimes I will. And as a father, don't be afraid to, one, apologize to your kids when you're wrong, Don't be afraid to explain your actions to them, because they will question it, and it's very important that they understand. So right now I'm in what's called a 90-day blitz in my business and entrepreneur and investing in life. Over the next 90 days, there will be nobody in my industries that's going to learn more than me, that's going to connect, that's going to make more friends than me, that are going to build, they're going to go as aggressively as me. And it's not just about me, but it's because I want to just set the bar and the standard high, right? So I had to have a conversation with my kids, like, Daddy has to literally, I have to sacrifice this time with y'all right now, so that when this is over, that I have a whole lot more time. We have a whole lot more quality time that we can spend. And it's not, the conversation doesn't always go well. It's always, well, Daddy, well, we miss you, and Daddy, we want to do this. And sometimes I have to get them to see the bigger picture. But the truth of the matter is, when I can show the vision to them, when I can let them see exactly what it is that I'm working towards, they buy into that vision. And then they want to see how they can support me. How can they help me? What is it that they can bring? What can they do? And, as a father, don't just leave things unsaid. Don't just don't feel like you shouldn't communicate with your kids. They have feelings. They want to feel important. They just like everybody. I heard a saying and when I was in my first network marketing journey, was that people work for money, but they die for recognition. They just feel recognized when you look at them as individuals and you tell them, hey, daddy's got something you got to do. I got to work hard for something, and I need you to be on board, or I want you to take a look. And then you'll be surprised at how they'll say, they'll be your number one fans. My daughter, she just randomly text me and say stuff like, hey, you're the best dad ever. Work hard. You got this. Let's do it. You know what I mean? And it's a great feeling for sure.
That is awesome. And man, I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking about there's so many parallels between what you're talking about as a father and what I experienced as a teacher. Not that they're similar, not the same. But first thing was apologizing. That was really hard for me to get up in front of my class and be like, yo, I made a mistake, or to even apologize to just one student in front of the whole class because I didn't act right, or, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, or, just being honest like that. And I've seen that it changes the tone, and you gain more respect by doing that, just because you're giving them respect. Sure. And it's so powerful, just that simple act. And we have to get over ourselves. I mean, we're all leading and building little man, I can't think of the word right now, but we're building the future. We're helping them build their character, And so what better way than to be the example of what they should be doing. And so, and I can see that you paint such a good vision that I'm sure your kids are like, oh yeah, okay, 90 days? Let's get that calendar. Let's start checking that off. And, I think we also get in the habit, and teachers and parents that I've ran into, no, they're kids. They'll get over it, But it's like they understand more than we give them credit for, Yeah. And so we have to keep that in mind. They're people. We were talking earlier about how fifth grade is such an important year, but I really feel like that's where personalities really are starting to come out. And so they're starting to figure out, who am I? What am I doing? It's a pre-puberty scene. And so, yeah, it's a mess, let me tell you. But it's so great to hear that viewpoint, and I think more people need to hear that and adopt that when talking with kids. Just be honest, genuine, and don't be afraid to apologize. Kids can see through your BS.
Sure. That is so true.
Yeah. So, man, and so you're with father figures now. What are future plans for father figures going forward?
So, man, obviously, man, I see what I see, and I want to give big kudos to the network marketing industry, because They have given me the skills and the it has given me the skills and the confidence that I can build anything that I put my mind to. Like, I know that if I start with 2 people, it's over. You know, it's a done deal. If I get 2 people, and obviously if you read books like Think and Grow Rich, you know, these books, they teach you, you know, how to. And I want to make sure people see this book. Okay, this book right here, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, it has been written by a gentleman named Napoleon Hill who spent 20 years of his life searching, researching, learning from the most successful people of our time. When these people have accumulated ridiculous amount of wealth, their dream lives, and you know, I've read this book. I'm on my 6th time reading this book cover to cover. All right, when I talk about being a student and learning, you know, I get laughed at by my peers, I get laughed at by my family, and you know, and it's funny because I used to laugh at people who read books, call them nerds and stuff, because I was an athlete. But this is one of the things I love doing the most, and I tell people all the time, like, when you're equipped with the right stuff, there's nothing you can't do, like literally. So one of the chapters in this book talks about the mastermind. I got a gentleman who actually tuned into the call. He doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be the CEO, the vice president of Relentless Enterprises. He's a guy that I believe in big time. He embodies the word 100%. He literally, the day that I shared my vision with him, it was like this, and we've been connected since. And I just love the way he does business. He's an incredible leader. I trust him with my life and my, you know, and my company as well. But with that being said, like, with father figures, man, I started when I first got the vision. It was 2016. Very, very confused time in my life. I can say that for sure. I was at a crossroads, and I really wasn't sure. Like, man, what am I supposed to be doing? And I made this vision board, and I put on that father figures. I really had no clue what I was doing with it then. I was 24 at the time, and I was like, man, something's gonna come of this, but I wasn't sure. So, but now today, when I look and I just think about the possibilities, right? And in network marketing, if you think about the industry of network marketing, you're familiar with it. You start with 2 people, right? 2 people that see the vision, and then y'all go out and y'all share the vision, right? So my goal is to have this going word of mouth. Me and other fathers bringing so much value to this community that, like, literally, this is what I see. Let's say we have 100 fathers there, right? There will never be a father in this community once this thing is really like up and running in a well-oiled machine. Then he won't have the resources that he needs. And I'm not talking about giving a man a fish. I'm talking about teaching a man to fish, like equipping him with the things that he may not have gotten in his childhood, or he may not have a person in his life, because I know I did. And the reason why I want to give help is because I remember being so lost and needing help and not knowing who to turn to. And then you know, I'm a big believer in getting advice from people who have the lifestyle that I want. I would meet fathers who were somewhat successful as a father to me, meaning, you know, they may have had some, but they would have like a part of that, like they may have kids from another relationship that they have no relationship with. So there were certain things that they would give me advice on, but I knew that their vision was so small that it didn't even include all of their kids. So I knew that I had to think bigger with this. I had to think like crazy big, because like, as a man, if you bring a child into this world, you have a responsibility to them, to love them, to take care of them, to nurture them, to get to help them build their confidence and encourage them, to teach them. So I see this going. First of all, it's going to start in the home. It's going to start in the home. I know that it's going to be a thing that encourages fathers to, just like this Friday, I got an incredible. Actually, a family member of mine who has 5 kids. He's an entrepreneur. He's actually going to be sharing his story and everything. But I'm actually going to be reading reading this little poem that literally I still to this day, right? I literally have to still remind myself. It's called Father Forgets. It's in a book called How to Win Friends, Influence People. But it's an incredible little short story about a father he was just being so hard on his son about every little thing. The little boy spilled something on his clothes. He was playing out front with his friends in his school uniform, and his dad would just constantly, you know, getting on him. You're chewing too much. You're chewing with your mouth open. And eventually, at the end of the day, you know, the kid was laying in the bed, and the dad comes up to him and he said, you know, he's standing over top of him, and he said, you know, tomorrow I'm gonna be a real dad, and I'm not gonna be so hard on you. I'm gonna remember that you're just a boy, and sometimes you don't know better. And I even got around, so I literally was just getting on my son, because he just literally, sometimes he doesn't focus, and he just is so focused on he wants to play the game. then he just everything else around him is just it doesn't matter. And I had to find an effective way to get him to see. And you got to focus on what you're doing. Focus on, you got your snowball in your hand, but you're so hurt about playing the game, you just throw your snowball all over the place, right? You don't want that. So, but just remember as a dad, like, hey, it's a way that I can effectively communicate this message to my son so that he still feels loved and respected. Because as long as he feels loved and respected, I can say anything to him. And fathers, another thing I want to tell you, look, it was hard for me to discipline my kids in the very beginning, especially because I started with a daughter. It was really hard, right? But your kids, they love you so much when you correct them. I'm when it comes to my kids' mom, like, and their moms, like, I'm like the dad. I'm that dad that they always want to be around me. I'm the favorite, and it's kind of hard sometimes because I gotta be able to play both roles. But they always ask, well, why is it that they always want to be with you? Why? Because I correct them. I'm not afraid to let them know that they're wrong and pop them on their butt when they do something wrong. And it's because of that correction. Believe it or not, all human beings, they want to be corrected. They want to be steered in the right direction, even if it hurts up front. At the end of the day, like my 3-year-old, if he gets out of line, sometimes I have to pop him, and he'll cry. He'll go in the corner, and then he'll just come up and he'll give me a hug. Mm-hmm. And I know that it's deep down. It's like, okay, Daddy, you're trying to teach me something, and it's a great feeling. So, Dad's definitely correct. The discipline is our role. It's hard sometimes when you love them. You don't want to be too soft on them. And even to this day, I'm still working.
Man, I feel like after a lot of things that you say, I'm just like, wow, that was really good. Like,
hey, I don't want to take none of the credit, man. Look, seeking for knowledge. I seek for this kind of stuff.
Well, and so again, like you've said so much, and as far as discipline goes, because I think when you're disciplining, that says, hey, I care about you enough, and so that lets them know, like, oh, what I do does matter. And so then they're a little bit more aware of it. So discipline is when it comes from a place of love is very important. And I love the idea that you're reading and you're trying to provide all this materials because it's good, and like you don't know what you don't know. If that so you always got to be reading, you always got to be learning, you got to be doing something. And like I know for me, I mean I've known my wife for 4 years now. She's probably gonna correct me later and be like, that's wrong, it's 5. I'm like, oh, sorry, my bad. But I grew up with all boys, and so like I have all brothers, so I don't really have like living with a female. I'm still learning that, and so I'm like, what books? What, like, I'm Googling, like, should I be worried? Like, what things not to do. But there's always that aspect of there's always something else out there for you to learn, and so you can't just be satisfied with where you're at. You always got to be looking for that new edge, I guess. So, man, Raymond, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today. Any last minute closing remarks for our listeners out there?
Yeah, if I could leave you with anything, first of all, I just want to let you know that you are the most important person in the world. You are a very important person. From this day forward, you should start acting like it. How does a very important person, how do they look? How do they live? Well, the truth of the matter is they are in constant seeking of wisdom. They don't pray for money, they pray for wisdom. They ask God for wisdom so that they can use their mind to get whatever it is that they want, right? Mm-hmm. Number 2, have a burning desire, right? Be very clear about what you want. See, I know what I want. That's why I'm going to get it. 90% of the world, they don't have a clue what they want. They just take whatever life throws at them. Mm-hmm. So be specific about what it is that you want. We live in the greatest country in the world, and I'm starting to get kind of away from that because the United Arab Emirates is probably like way ahead of us. But we can agree that it's pretty fantastic. Mm-hmm. But we live in the greatest country in the world where right now, most people see crisis, and I see opportunity. I see opportunity for me to literally go leaps and bounds from where I have been over the last 10 years, and it's up to you to do the same thing. Once you get clear about what you want, come up with a plan. Write down a plan. If you can't find a plan, ask God for a plan. If you ask, you shall receive. If you seek, you will find. If you knock, the door will be open to you. So ask for that plan, and then find 2 people, at least one person, that you can lock arms with on that goal and that vision. who can see what you can see and can bring value to whatever it is that you're trying to contribute to. And then from there, two people can. The good book says that one can reach 1,000, two can reach 10,000. But when 2 or 3 people gather together, that an unstoppable force is created, and anything is possible. So go hard for your dreams. Have big dreams, have big goals, and make your life a dream life.
That is amazing, man. Thank you so much again for being on the show. And
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me, man. And y'all, stay tuned, stay plugged into his show. I'm telling you, he's going to bring a ton of value to you. I enjoy being on it, man. I'm going to be locked in too as well. And any other way I can be of benefit, man, I would love to be able to do that for you. And maybe I can get you on one of my shows here in the near future.
Oh, man, that would be amazing. I would love that and be so honored. And so, man, it's been my pleasure to interview you. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I know you got something good out of this. I got more than 3 things. So I'm like, how many fingers? No, I got lots of information from this, and I'm coming out definitely a better person, better future father for sure. So think of somebody out there, y'all. You need to share this with them. This could make be the difference in their life, their family's life. Definitely share. So as always, though, if you only learn to do one thing, y'all, learn to make a difference. Thanks. Y'all have a good night.